Hi, I'm Lana, and I am a registered on-site wastewater practitioner, septic system designer, planner, and install wrangler. I have some very valuable insight for those who are looking to purchase property or those planning to sell their property. Today, I wanted to talk about performance inspections, specifically about whether to get a septic tank pumped or not before an inspection. Pretty much everyone that gets into the septic industry is a very caring, down-to-earth individual. So we are here because we care about public health and because we care very much about the environment and protecting all water and our future drinking water from contamination. And your local health authorities and health regulatory bodies have this in view. Our number one concern is the environment, and we like everyone to make the connection that your septic wastewater directly impacts drinking water because your treatment system, the components, as well as the soil and the field that it's on, is what treats wastewater and allows for the water to eventually trickle down into our water table and our water cycle, which we ultimately will drink from. So pretty much everyone that gets into septic is very caring about all these aspects. And so this is in no way to disparage anyone involved in the industry. We are all overworked. We are all doing our best and scrambling in our ecological new normal and scrambling with population spreading and construction. There's a huge balance that we're all trying to uphold. And so I wanted to dispel some myths about performance inspections. So specifically, a performance inspection only gives you a picture of that exact microsecond that the inspection was done on. And yet, it is a very, very important part of selling and buying a property because it is a massive investment. That system that is invisible, that nobody really thinks about until it smells, is a massive, massive investment and a huge proportion of the overall property value. And so I wanted to draw a correlation between your health and the health of your septic system. So let's say that someone was struggling with their digestive health and suffered with it for years, and it really compromised their quality of life and just day-to-day comfort. And let's say they went to the traditional medical system and had some imaging done of their digestive system and a report that yields there's nothing wrong. This system, the structure and anatomy of the system is not compromised. By these imaging and by this assessment, it looks as though your digestive system is operating properly. And we all know of people who have struggled with this kind of diagnosis or reporting on assessment, and yet they know that their digestive system is not operating optimally. And so we understand, intuitively that it's not just about structure, but it is also about function. And we also understand from beautiful progression in science is our digestive biome, the biological processes, not only with hormones and secretions and the nervous system, but also with the bacteria in the gut. And we know that this is part of functional digestion. So even though the structure of digestion could look perfect, we know that there's so much that can go wrong with the functional aspect of it. And so likewise, with your septic performance inspections, we're not just looking at the overall terrain, we're looking at, if the system failed and needed to be replaced, how possible is it to design a new system? And in many cases, if the house takes up most of the lot and there's only a small patch of soil and the rest is rock and beach, we know that starting a new field in another area may not be possible, or you may require very expensive artificial treatment systems that need to be craned in or shipped in if they are at all possible. And so this is why it's quite important to get your performance inspection with a fully trained inspector who understands these things, or with fully trained designer and planners who understand the overall context of not just the structure of the system, but the functionality of the system. And so we very, very, very much appreciate everybody contributing to the septic industry, from our designers, our installers, our inspectors, our service providers, our maintenance providers, and service and maintenance can be part of septic pumping. And so as a design planner, install wrangler, um, if I want to understand a system, it's important that I can understand the system in as close of an operational state as possible. So if I arrive to inspection and the tank is pumped out, what can that tell me about the functionality of the system? It can tell me a lot less than if I could see some of the biome, some of the evidence of the layers of biome in the tank, and it can be helpful to assess leaks if there's actually water in the system. And so this is why a lot of registered on-site wastewater practitioner, design installers, inspectors may not recommend that the pump that the septic system, the septic tank be pumped out before we arrive. There's certain functional indicators that we can look for while it's still full. And in a real estate crunch, when subjects to sale are non-existent, it is still very important to get the septic system a functional performance assessment, if at all possible, with the time constraints. There are some very expensive surprises that you wouldn't want to run into. And so this would include not just the system components, but also the field and sort of the treatment of nature contributing to your wastewater treatment. And so in general, manufacturers will make components, specifically the tanks, last a very, very long time. And we are painfully aware of this as we're learning about plastics in our environment and how long they take to degrade. And so there's other components that for sure more easily run out, but in general, septic tanks, if properly installed and properly cared for, and if owners weren't driving on the site or parking RVs on the site, generally they'll have more resilience. And so I encourage you to reach out to holistic registered septic professionals for your performance reviews, and also consider that all of the paperwork and the bureaucratic filings behind the system are just as important as part of the review. And I wanted to add here that it is very scary to get your septic system assessed because it is such a huge investment. And so people are very scared when we ask questions, but really we're looking at the questions of to give us an idea of the stress loads on the system, and that will help determine perhaps how long a system may be continued to be under the stresses. And this may help because if you're attracting owners or future owners that are going to put more stress on the system, perhaps that isn't the property for them. So it's about matching previous stewards with future stewards and matching their use needs and their ability to maintain a pre-existing septic system. So I encourage an openness and an awareness that we are all stewards and there is no one to blame, and we can't blame people when we have the environment, we have unprecedented new environmental stresses that nobody could have planned for. So I'm hoping that this is encouraging for you, and I very much encourage people who aren't even putting their house on the market yet to form a relationship with your professional septic providers, get the maintenance that it needs, get an inspection for no reason, if but only to learn how to take better care of your system and potentially lengthen the life of it. Thank you very much.